Ladies and gentlemen, this is TVP World. You're watching World News. I'm your host, Benjamin Lee, and these are the latest headlines. Poland's chief diplomat, Radosław Sikorski, has delivered his foreign policy address to the parliament. In a speech, Sikorski laid out Warsaw's foreign policy goals for 2025. President Andrzej Duda and Prime Minister Donald Tusk were both in attendance. Our reporter Kazimierz Ryszak was there and has this report.
Polish Foreign Minister Radosław Sikorski has presented the priorities of Poland for 2025 when it comes to its foreign policies in a long speech here in the Polish parliament. Now, there were four main points made by the Polish minister when it came to these priorities, similar to the speech he made last year. These main key takeaways are, first and foremost, security of the European Union, also unity in defense spending, and taking more responsibility for the security of the continent. This is, of course, in connection with the ongoing Russian invasion of Ukraine and the rather blunt approach of US President Donald Trump towards Ukraine and Europe. Poland's foreign minister has said here that both Poland and the EU need to start taking the security more strongly, that they need to take it more seriously. And one way to do it is through increased defense spending. The second point made by the Polish foreign minister concerned the relations with the United States, saying that there needs to be unity in the EU, but also that in spite of the fact that Donald Trump has a rather critical approach towards Europe, that still the United States is the biggest guarantee of safety, and that Europe needs to work together with the US in order to be safe in the future. The third point was about defending a global order based on the UN Charter. The foreign minister also criticized the UN, saying that it needs to be reformed, that right now it is no longer a guarantee of safety as it used to be, that there needs to be a reform of the United Nations in order to be able to safeguard peace across the world. The fourth point was about the engagement in dialogue with the Global South. There was quite a lot of mention by the Polish foreign minister about the Global South. This is, of course, including continents such as Africa or South America. This is a trend that we are seeing, that the Polish foreign minister is looking to find other partners in the world, especially in the face of the United States being on a more critical approach towards Europe. Poland is seeking other directions of partnerships in the world, and the Global South could be one such direction. Now, apart from these four main points of interest, the Polish foreign minister also outlined four major points, four trends which are undesirable for Poland. So let's go through these. The first point would be that the world is now turning to zones of influence rather than alliances. That the importance of alliances is disappearing, but rather that global powers are looking for bilateral relations, bilateral agreements. That was also a hint at Donald Trump and his approach to making deals in the world, to imposing tariffs on countries and forcing them to come to the negotiating table rather than being part of a bigger global alliance. A second undesirable point for Poland would be the turning away of the world from global standards such as sovereignty of nations. The Polish foreign minister said that nowadays strength, power of countries is gaining more importance rather than safeguarding the sovereignty of smaller nations. The third point would be the weakening of international organizations, that is also including the United Nations, what I mentioned earlier, that the need for a reform of the United Nations. And the fourth point which is undesirable for Poland, according to Minister Sikorski, is disinformation. Disinformation, which is, of course, made even worse by Russia and its propaganda, especially in the face of the ongoing Russian invasion of Ukraine. So there was a lot of mention of security in the speech of the Polish foreign minister, but also a lot of mention of Poland's role in the world, of Poland's leadership. Polish minister also said that Poland could soon become a part of the G20, that it is on the brink of becoming in the top 20 of the biggest world economies. There was also a lot of mention of Russia, of course, not in a positive way. The Polish foreign minister has directed some of his words towards Russia, and I will quote here. He said, "You will never rule here ever again. Not in Kyiv, not in Vilnius, not in Riga, not in Tallinn, not in Chisinau." Very much addressing Russia and its imperialistic ambitions, saying that you will not govern here again, that the democratic world will stand strong, and that you may forget about any of your imperialistic ambitions, as Poland and Europe will stand united in the face of Russia's growing threat. These were some of the main takeaways from the speech of Poland's Foreign Minister Radosław Sikorski, outlining the priorities of Poland for 2025 when it comes to its foreign policies. From Warsaw, Kazimierz Łysiak, TVP World.
A high-level diplomatic meeting originally set to take place in London today has been postponed indefinitely. The UK's Foreign Office announced a delay but gave no explanation. Meanwhile, Ukrainian Foreign Minister Andrei Sybiha did meet with British Foreign Secretary David Lammy. Our correspondent Oz Chatterjee is in Kyiv with the latest Ukrainian response.
Well, all eyes were supposed to be on London today, where US officials were supposed to meet with European officials and Ukrainian officials to discuss US proposals for a ceasefire in Ukraine. That meeting has since been downgraded, with neither Marco Rubio nor the Special Envoy Steve Witkoff expected to attend those talks, and now the European top diplomats are not expected to attend either. There will be talks on the sidelines of these discussions between Ukrainian officials and the UK's top diplomat David Lammy. However, the main discussions will be taking place between lower level officials to discuss the US proposals for ending the war in Ukraine. Now, the US media, Wall Street Journal, Axios, among others, reporting that the US proposal to end the war in Ukraine would accept Russian control over Crimea and a de jure control over Crimea, and would accept de facto Russian control over those 4 other Ukrainian regions they have attempted to illegally annex. We've already had a response from President Zelensky saying this would go against the Ukrainian constitution and they would never accept such Russian control over Crimea, saying this is our territory, the territory of the people of Ukraine. This will not happen. The EU's top diplomat Kaja Kallas also responded that the European Union would not accept Russian control of Crimea. They would see that as legitimizing an act of aggression, an act of war, something that would go against what the EU believes in. So it seems unlikely the Americans are going to be able to pressure the Europeans or the Ukrainians into accepting this deal that would see Russian control of Crimea legitimized. Now, elsewhere in Ukraine, in Dnipropetrovsk, in the town of Marhanets, 9 people have been killed and at least 30 others injured when a Russian drone targeted a bus in Dnipropetrovsk Oblast. So while these talks are ongoing, Russia is continuing to strike Ukrainian civilians and kill Ukrainian civilians on the territory of Ukraine. It's Oz Chatterjee reporting from Kyiv for TVP World.
The European Economic Conference is underway in Katowice for the 17th year in a row, drawing an increasingly international audience. Polish government officials and industry experts have taken part in panels throughout the day, tackling major topics such as energy, defense, sustainability, and digitalization. It's worth noting that this year's conference comes during what continues to be a busy EU presidency for Poland. Our business correspondent Mary Cato has more.
The European Economic Congress taking place in Katowice this week comes at a time of great geopolitical volatility. It comes when there are so many events taking place in the world, but here there are so many issues that are being raised that are discussed in a lot of detail. One of the top priorities that are being raised by many speakers on many panels is that of energy. It is being discussed in great detail, but in a slightly different way than I would have expected. We're talking about energy in a much broader sense. We're talking about it obviously in the sense of renewability and sustainability, but also about really planning ahead for the next 10 to 15 years. The economic conference taking place in Katowice is happening for the 17th year running. It is growing growing in size and attracting a lot of international attention. We are surprised, and pleasantly surprised that is, by the huge Saudi Arabian contingent, and we have a lot of other international guests. And that seems to be the case every single year. TVP World is a media patron here. We have a studio where we have many exclusive interviews that will be aired on our channel and on our social media platforms. So make sure that you tune in and stay up to date with what it is that we are airing. From Katowice for TVP World, I'm Marie Cato.
And with that, we conclude this edition of World News. But for more news, update, and commentary, please stay tuned to TVP World.